Go ahead, Dustin.
Dustin Long, Landmark Newspapers, to your left. David, know that you're maybe more of a laid-back type of guy, or maybe an easier-going guy, but, I mean, you just did win your first Cup race, and normally a lot of other guys seem to be a little bit more excited. You seem to be more calm or composed.
Yeah, I guess that's just my character. You know, a lot of people, you know, when we won a nationwide race a year or two ago, and they said, "Man, you don't seem that happy." And it's going to feel so good. I probably won't go to sleep tonight. I'm going to get back and watch some of the race and try to, you know, just stare at that trophy maybe for a little while. And, you know, I don't get up and jump up and down and act crazy and foolish. And kind of I'm already thinking about Kentucky a little bit. You know, that's an important race for us. And now that we've got this win, it lets a lot of pressure off in some sense that we finally got our first win at a points race here at Daytona. We've got a chance to make the chase. But now there's even more pressure to go out and stay in that top 20 in points to, you know, perform well at these upcoming races. So I'll enjoy it. Maybe catch up with me tomorrow afternoon and we'll be hanging out having a good time. But it's still kind of sinking in that we've done it. When we get that trophy back and go see all my guys, I'm sure they're tearing the car down in Tech now, that'll be pretty special.
Go ahead, Kim.
I want to follow up a little bit on Mulhern's question about the engine. Next time we come back here, instead of being carbureted, we're going to be fuel injected. Do you think that that's going to have any impact on the way that we're going to be racing next year? And have you had a chance to think that far ahead about the fact that, you know, are we going to have restrictor plates on the
impression of what we've got really to work with after that test, and we see how it works. But really excited about the McLaren decision that NASCAR made for the ECU, for the computer program, and I think Bosch has come along to be the injector supplier. I hope that's true. The wiring harnesses are pretty much figured out, so most of the hardware is determined. The calibrations are going to be somewhat left to the teams to figure out what the air-fuel ratios are. You're still going to have an opportunity to burn the engines up if you want to, which makes me happy because I need to have that amount of risk in my life for decision making that I can screw up and know how bad that's going to feel when that happens. But when we come back here, you know, the base plate, the throttle plate, is pretty much like a carburetor. It is bolted on the same pattern as a carburetor, and I haven't heard specifically, but my expectation is that we'll have a throttle plate that is large like the one we'd use unrestricted for a carburetor, and they'll put a restrictor plate under it like we use for Daytona and Talladega. The indication is that the engines make about the same power with the same amount of air restriction through the throttle plates, and they make a bit less torque, thinking that they maybe don't cool the air quite as much through the fuel being injected halfway down the airstream rather than the carburetor and follow the air all the way down. So we don't expect a performance difference, and I'm sure NASCAR will achieve the same kind of parity they've got with the carburetor. So I think it'll be a non-issue. All the owners are going to be a little lighter on their step because of what all this stuff's going to cost. But except for that, they'll be pretty much, I think, the same as we've seen.
Any additional questions? Go ahead, Mike, and then we'll go way up here. We'll finish up.
This is for Drew. I've watched 3 of these two-car draft races now, Daytona twice and Talladega. And for the life of me, I can understand the last 30 laps or the last 20 laps.
How many races was that, Mike?
I think it was just 3, right? I mean,
okay. I thought I heard 2.
2 at Daytona.
2, 3.
Okay.
You're an engineer.
All
okay.
right.
I'm not an engineer yet. 2, 3, 4. I don't count. But I don't understand the strategy and the tactics when you start the race. Is it just like you guys just kind of go out there and go up to the front and go to the back and go up to the front and go to the back, or do you try to lay in the back? I mean, I don't understand this.
We don't either. I don't think we understand it either.
I don't. Yeah, I don't. It's certain people want to go to the back. I mean, I think you see that. I think the Hendrick cars that they wanted to run up front for a while, and then when that first pit stop came, they went to the back. And the 42 and the 1 does that. There's certain drivers that like that. You know, David and then our partner tonight, Matt, they both like to be towards the front. They feel like if they're in the front, then if the wrecks happen, they're in front of them. You know, and I think there's just as big a risk of being in the back and not being able to get to the front. And also, if you haven't raced around the lead pack and raced for the lead and understand that, I think sometimes you can learn at lap 20 going for the lead, something that might help you towards the end. So our plan all along was, if we can see the front, we're going to try and stay there. You know, as long as we don't get too far back. There was one time tonight where we got shuffled, where there were 7 or 8 groups in front of us, all too wide. We thought that's a little hairy, so we fell back a little bit. But it didn't take long for the 2 Fords, when they were wanting to go. They went right towards the front. So I think it's just a strategy amongst the drivers. You know, whether they want to stay in the back and try and stay from the wreck, or go to the front and race it out.
Go ahead, ma'am.
Donna Beth Wellingman, Benicia Herald. I have a question about ethanol. I've been hearing that from a driver's standpoint, you don't see a whole lot of difference, but there may be a little more impact from the crew chief standpoint. And I was told to ask about that.
Yeah, it's a little less fuel mileage than what we were used to with the last year's fuel. I think that the number's 90, 92%, something like that, of what we got last year. So I think that's why you see, obviously, we hold the same amount of fuel as we did last year, but our pit cycles and our sequence on how far we can go on fuel is 5 to 7 laps, depending on the racetrack, less than it was. So it's just a motorman's deal. They need to tune the carburetors a little different with the ethanol versus the stuff we had last year.
Yeah, let me help you with that a little bit. We have 15% ethanol. And ethanol has 50%, alcohol has 50% of the BTUs per gallon as gasoline. So we're down about 7.5% on fuel economy, which is just falls right in line with where the total amount of energy in the fuel is. But the ethanol burns cleaner, and it is a renewable source of fuel that we provide ourselves as Americans here. And so it's a worthwhile thing. And whether it's, you know, if we were racing 100% ethanol, we'd get half the miles per gallon that we get with gasoline. But that doesn't mean it's not good. It means that it just has half the BTUs in it per unit volume.
Okay. Congratulations to the number 6 team. David Ragan, Drew Blickernsderfer, and Jack Roush on just a terrific win here tonight at Daytona. And good luck next week at Kentucky.
Thank you very much for hanging out.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Jack. You bet.
Where are you going?